What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I just got back in the mail. And we're just going to jump right into these, as all 3 of these gentlemen were former managers in baseball. One of them did not manage in the major leagues, but he had a 50-year career in baseball. So I'm going to start off talking about him, and I am talking about former, and you can see this is a senior league card of him. He coached 1 year in the senior league, and that is former longtime minor league manager Ed Nottle on 404. And like I said, the main reason I wrote him was because I had the senior league card of him, and I happened to scan my minor league sets, and I happened to have these 3 minor league sets of him, so I stuck them in the mail, and he graciously replied. So let me tell you about singing Ed Nottle. And yes, I said the word singing because one of his hobbies was actually singing. So let me tell you about that and the rest of his career in baseball. Nottle signed his first professional contract in 1959 and was assigned to a team in Pensacola, Florida with the Chicago White Sox affiliate. Following a stellar season in Pensacola, Nottle began a 10-year run with the Chicago White Sox organization. In 1963, he was assigned to the White Sox Major League Club roster, but due to an arm injury that he suffered, he never actually made his Major League debut. After a long minor league career, in 1972, Nottle received his first coaching job and became a coach that season. In 1978, he became a manager when the Oakland A's hired him to manage a Northwest League rookie ball affiliate. In 1981, while managing the A's AAA team, his team reached the PCL Finals, and Nottle was named Minor League Manager of the Year by Baseball America. During the 1983 season, he served as a coach on the Oakland A's Major League staff. So in 1983, after all the years of waiting, Ed Nottle finally made it to the majors as a coach. Within the same year, Nottle showcased his singing talent by recording the album To Baseball with Love on his own private label, Knots Landing Records. In 1985, Nottle moved on to the Boston Red Sox organization, and he managed their AA affiliate, the New Britain Red Sox, for 1 season, and their AAA team, the Pawtucket Red Sox, for the next 4.5 years. And I believe all of these are Pawtucket cards right here. Nottle led New Britain to the playoffs once, and twice took Pawtucket to the postseason. He was named the International League Manager of the Year in 1987 and managed the American League affiliates in the AAA All-Star Game in 1988, which is what that card is, I believe. Nottle managed in the inaugural season of the Sioux City Explorers of the Northern League in Sioux City, Iowa in 1993, and he stayed in that position through the 2000 season. So if you're doing this math, that's now 40 years in baseball. In his 8 seasons with Sioux City, he amassed 343 wins and 300 losses and made the playoffs twice in 1994 and 99. After his time with Sioux City, Nottle managed the Duluth Superior Dukes for 1 season before moving to the Brockton Rocks of the then Northern League East in 2002. With the Rocks, he compiled a 187-175 record and won the championship in 2003. For the 2006 season, Nottle returned to his old post in Sioux City and became the manager in their first year in the American Association. So a lot of people don't know that independent leagues kind of jump around to different leagues, and that seems to be the case with the Sioux City Explorers. They were in the Northern League first, then the American Association. After that season, Nottle returned to the former Northeast League, which is the Can-Am League, which I believe now is the Frontier League /Cam or Frontier Can-Am League. In 2008, as he became the first manager of the expansion Ottawa Rapids in Canada. In 2010, in Nottle's 50th year in professional baseball, he served as a pitching and third base coach for the Brockton Rocks of the Can-Am League, underneath their current manager at the time, Chris Carminucci. So, a couple notable things on his Wikipedia page. It is just amazing that, despite this guy, and we put the word major leaguer in quotes, was never a major league baseball player. He made a career 50 years in baseball. So, there's actually a notation on his page that says he's famous for his charitable work in both the U.S. and Canada, and has raised over several millions of dollars for various charities focused on children mainly. Additionally, there has been talk of a movie about his life called The 26th Man. It was supposed to be in production in 2007, and the screenplay was ready to go. However, there was financial limitations, and it never really got off the ground. So that would be nice to see if The 26th Man ever got picked up and made into a movie, highlighting Ed Nottle's career. But I thought it was important. I honestly did not know all of this information about Mr. Nottle. I simply looked at it, hey, I have this senior league card. As many of you know, I really enjoy collecting senior league autographs. So I started looking up, Mr. Nottle's career, and I was just amazed at how long this guy was in baseball. So despite not being a major leaguer, like I said, the guy made a career in baseball for 50 years and probably didn't get paid as lucratively as current managers do today. So we'll move on to the next one. All right, the next two have major league experience. One, not so much, but the other was a longtime player before he became a manager. So he's more known as a player than he is a manager. And who am I talking about? This is postmarked from Florida, other than former Houston Astros great Doug Rader on 1, 2, 3, that's a duplicate, and 4. And Doug Rader, I obviously would have some cards of him laying around in my collection, but I chose this time just to send all his manager cards to him. Plus I had duplicates of that 91 Topps. These cards are pretty common. They were junk wax era cards. With the exception of this one, that's out of the traded set, the 89 traded set that features the King Griffey Jr. rookie card. So that one's a little harder to come by compared to the other three. But let me tell you about Doug Rader and his awesome playing career as a player and his managing career. Doug Rader, originally from Illinois, grew up in the Chicago area where he attended high school in Northbrook, Illinois. Then later would go to college at Illinois Wesleyan University in Bloomington, Illinois. He would sign as a minor league free agent with the Houston Astros, and he would make his major league debut at just 23 years old for the Astros. Well, his first season with the Astros, he appeared in 47 games and primarily was only used as a first baseman / third baseman backup. During the 68 season, the Astros moved Rader over to play third base, and he appeared in 98 games and batted a respectable .267 with 6 home runs and 43 RBIs, is pretty much establishing himself as their everyday third baseman in the second half of the season. In 1969, the job was his at third base, and Rader played in 155 games, batting .246, cracking 11 home runs and driving in 83 RBIs. In 1970, he had a breakout season where he batted just .252, but he hit 25 home runs and drove in 87 runs for the Astros that year, and on top of that, won his first Gold Glove Award. In 1971, he would struggle. His numbers would drop off a little bit, where he would just hit 12 home runs and bat just .244. However, he earned his second consecutive Gold Glove at third base. Rader's batting average continued to slip in 1972, where he hit .237. However, his power numbers came back, cracking 22 home runs and driving in 90 RBIs, and again, winning his third straight Gold Glove Award. Rader had another solid season in 73, where he batted .254 with 21 home runs and 89 driven in 154 games, and once again was awarded the Gold Glove Award for the fourth consecutive season. He continued his solid play through 1974, batting .257, while hitting 17 home runs and driving in 76, and earning his fifth consecutive Gold Glove Award. In 1975, his numbers slipped again, and he batted just .223 and hit 12 home runs, and he failed to win the National League Gold Glove Award for the first time in his career, where it went to Kenny Reitz that season of the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, after the 75 season, Rader was traded to the San Diego Padres for Larry Hardy and Joe McIntosh during the offseason. The Padres needed a starting third baseman at the time. Rader became the everyday third baseman for the Padres during the 76 season, and he batted .257 and hit 9 home runs and drove in 55 runs. In 1977, Rader began the season with the San Diego Padres, and in 52 games hit .271 with 5 home runs, and then his contract on June 8th of 1977 was sold to the Toronto Blue Jays. Rader finished the 77 season with the Blue Jays, where he split his time playing third base and being their designated hitter. In 96 games in Toronto, Rader hit .240 with 13 home runs and 40 RBIs. Not bad in just 96 games, 13 home runs. Going into 1978, when almost before spring training ended for the season to start, the Blue Jays decided to release Doug Rader from his contract. Overall in his playing career, Rader played in 1,465 games, collected over 1,300 hits, had a lifetime batting average of .251, and had 155 home runs, and not to mention his 5 consecutive Gold Gloves again. After being retired for a season, Rader returned to the San Diego Padres, and after working a year for them as a major league coach, the San Diego Padres named Rader the manager of the AAA affiliate, the Hawaii Islanders, in 1980. So, you heard me right. After his career in baseball as a player, he was out of baseball for 1 year. He coached with the San Diego Padres, which we all know San Diego's a beautiful area. And the Padres were so impressed with him that they gave him the managerial duties in Hawaii, their AAA affiliate. Now talk about a good way to retire from being a player and transition into a manager. So from 1980 to 1982, Rader was the manager of the San Diego Padres AAA affiliate in Hawaii. Well, after the 82 season concluded, Rader was hired to manage the Texas Rangers. In his first season with the Rangers, the club finished 77 and 85, which was a 13-game improvement from the previous season, and finished in third place. The Rangers slipped back into last place in 1984 as the club struggled to a 69 and 92 record, and in 1985, Raiders team began the season 9 and 23, and he was eventually fired and replaced by legendary coach Bobby Valentine. In 1986, the Chicago White Sox began the season with Tony La Russa as their manager. However, after a 26 and 38 start, the White Sox fired La Russa and named Rader, who was the team's hitting instructor at the time, as the interim manager. In his 2 games managing the club, he had a 1-1 record, so he split it. 1 win, 1 loss. Instead of allowing Rader to manage the rest of the year, the White Sox then named Jim Fregosi their permanent manager. Rader was then hired in 1989 by the California Angels, as you can see here, after the Angels finished the 88 season, 75 and 87, after firing their manager Cookie Rojas. In his first season with the Angels, Rader led the team to a 16-game improvement as California finished the season 91 and 71, good for third place in the American League West. Rader finished 4th in the AL Manager of the Year award, which was eventually won by Frank Robinson that year. The following year was not as good, unfortunately, and the Angels slipped to under 500 overall and finished the year with an 80 and 82 record. The Angels continued to hover around the 500 mark, and during the 1991 season, before the season ended, he was relieved of his duties after having a 61-63 record and was eventually replaced by Buck Rogers. Rader was then hired to be originally the hitting coach for the expansion Florida Marlins. He spent that time with the Marlins but resigned after the 1994 season. So overall, in his entire managerial career, he coached 805 games, posting a 388 wins and 417 losses. Now, mind you, this was for a Texas Rangers team that was not so great, and it also was for California Angels teams that weren't so great. And obviously, his 91 and 71 season were the best of his career. So, very happy to add Mr. Rader to the collection. You know, he has a long career both as a player and as a manager in baseball. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one because I really liked the profile on Mr. Rader. All right, so this final one, a lot of people are going to know this name because this guy is, again, one of those lifetime baseball guys. This is somebody that I think you're going to recognize, maybe not the younger viewers, but certainly the viewers that are around my age. And that is former Blue Jays manager / Houston Astros manager, Jimy Williams, on 3 different cards. And I actually included a duplicate, and maybe he doesn't sign dupes, or maybe 3's the limit, but he didn't sign the extra duplicate, which is fine. So let me tell you about Jimy Williams and his career in baseball, again, both as a player and as a manager. Williams, a former infielder as a player, was a right-handed hitter and graduated from Arroyo Grande High School in California and also Fresno State University. He signed originally with the Boston Red Sox, but was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1965 Rule 5 draft. He appeared in 14 games for the Cardinals over 2 seasons from 1966 to 67 and only had 13 at-bats his entire career in the majors. Although he was traded to the Cincinnati Reds after the 67 season and then selected by the Montreal Expos in the expansion draft, he never appeared in a major league game for either of those clubs. So, even though he had 13 at-bats, his Wikipedia page says the first ever batter that Jimy Williams faced was Sandy Koufax. Now, obviously, he didn't get a hit off of him, but it says his first hit came off of Hall of Famer Juan Marichal. So, all I'm trying to say is, in 13 at-bats, if you're sent up against 2 of the greatest pitchers in the history of the 1960s, that's kind of a small sample size. Jimy's career came down to, if you want to look at it, 11 at-bats, because, you know, if you count the Koufax and Marichal at-bats, those were some probably pretty tough at-bats, and you would think a guy that got his first hit off of Juan Marichal would have got a few more, cuts at the plate, but I guess that wasn't the case. His playing days were cut short by a shoulder injury when he began his minor league managing career with the California Angels in 1974. He soon reached AAA level and was appointed the third base coach of the Toronto Blue Jays in 1980. Williams remained as Toronto's third base coach for 6 seasons until he was promoted to manager in 1986 when Bobby Cox left to go to the Atlanta Braves. He was the Blue Jays manager until the 1989 season when he was fired May 14th and replaced by legendary coach Cito Gaston after the team got off to a 12-24 start. Gaston went on to go 77-49 for the remainder of the season and won the American League East title. After being relieved of his duties from Toronto, he spent the 1991 through 96 seasons with the Atlanta Braves as their third base coach, working under, again, Bobby Cox, including winning his first World Series championship in 1995. After his time with the Braves, in 1997, the Boston Red Sox called Williams, and they hired him to be their manager. His tenure in Boston lasted through 2001. In 2001, the team slumped, and Dan Duquette decided to relieve Jimy of his duties in August of 2001 for the remainder of the season. Overall, with the Red Sox, he had 414 wins and 352 losses. In 2002, he became the manager of the Houston Astros. The Astros fell short by 1 game in the NL Central title, Sox losing 6 of their last 9 games that year. In the offseason, the Astros signed Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte. The 2004 season did not get off to a great start for Williams, and they went to the All-Star break with a 44-44 record. After the All-Star break, he was then let go by the Astros, and Phil Garner took over the reins. On October 16, 2006, Williams was named the bench coach of the Philadelphia Phillies. He continued that role through 2008, winning his second World Series as a coach. And after the 2008 season, he decided not to return to the position in 2009. So overall, in his managerial career, Jimy Williams coached 1,700 games. He had a winning percentage of 5.35 with 910 wins and 790 losses. Another thing that I do want to mention, that his two sons actually played minor league baseball. His first son, Brady, played for the Red Sox organization. He never made it to the major leagues. He played a lot of time in the independent leagues. But he's been in the Tampa Bay Rays organization as a coach since 2009. His other son, Sean Williams, had a 7-year playing career, again with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, primarily as an infielder. And in 2019, Sean Williams became the manager of the Reading Fighting Phils. So both of Jimmy's sons are coaching in the minor leagues at this point, and maybe they'll follow in their father's footsteps and get to the major leagues one day as a coach. So I want to thank Mr. Williams for signing. I definitely want to thank Mr. Nottle for signing as well. I hope you enjoyed the background on Ed Nottle. I also want to thank Mr. Rader for signing 4 cards as well. I hope you learned a little bit about some managers from the last, 50 years of baseball would be the best way to put it. And again, Doug Rader was a very, very good player, especially defensively for the Houston Astros. And, very, very happy to add all of these autographs to the collection. I look forward to your comments below. And as always, happy collecting.